I literally hadn't a chance to get the camera gear set up. I've literally just put 2 rods out onto the spots, and the right hand rod was away already with a small sort of 5-6 pound sort of chunky little mirror. So that's a really good start to the session. Just here till tomorrow morning, just out to really get a bend in the rod. Jack the Carp dog is in recovering from his surgery really well, so it's the only place I can come that I can bring the dog. But we're now into March, so it's just good to actually get out and get a bend in the rod. Like I said before, I keep getting a drop back on this right hand rod, so I'm actually going to bring it in and investigate, because I'm not too happy with the amount of movement of the lead. I think there's a lot of fish in there feeding, and I want to make the most of the opportunity. So here's hoping there'll be a few more in this session, but I'll keep you posted as we go through the rest of the day. Well, the rod's only been in the water 5 minutes, and I've had this nice little mirror, only about, say 6 pound or so, but it's very chunky wee fish. Just treated it with a bit of carp care, and literally just about to get it put back in, so happy days, first blood. Well, as you've probably seen from the footage, I just put back that little mirror carp. I had a savage drop back again on the same rod, and then the bobbin lifted up, and when I lifted the rod, it had done me into a snag, so there had a bit of fish there. I just hadn't been quick enough on my toes with the slightest little move in the bobbin. And usually with a single beep, if I get much indication on that bobbin, I'm lifting the rod, because with that stretch in the mono, it doesn't take much for the fish to bury themselves into the snags. But that was very, very subtle, so I'll just have to be careful with the rest of the bites. And today, slightly different. Although I'm fishing the same areas that I usually do, I'm on smaller kit. I'm on 10-foot rods with smaller profile reels, so I'm trying to be a bit more careful. But that being said, that rod played that fish out like a dream, and it's got nothing to do with the test curve. Sometimes those extra couple of foot on the rod can help when playing the fish out of a snag, and that's exactly what the case was there. But I must say, so far I've been impressed with those 10-foot rods. They're literally brand new, so that's them christened with the first fish as well, and a little stocking pod I got as well. I always like to have 9 or 10 foot rods on a smaller setup for this little lake. It's not needed, you're not doing any big casts, although I am cheating today by putting the rigs out with the boat. Though in saying that, if I get a couple of fish under my belt and I see anything in open water, I will cast out to the rigs in open water. It's just I can be a lot more accurate here with those snags with the boat. So that's practically what's happening. But as I said before, it's good to be out. It's good to be actually getting another episode of the vlog filmed during lockdown. I'm here till tomorrow morning with Jack the Carp dog. He's sleeping under the sleeping bag here, and we'll just see what the day brings. I've literally just put the rods back out. I nipped down to the shop just to get a few provisions, as I've nothing with me for this session, and I am here till tomorrow morning. So just some juice and things to snack on. I'll probably order some food later, but it's turning out to be a lovely day. The sun is shining, the temperatures are going up. The only downside of that is the nights have been cold and the days have been warm. So I think really for anything through the night from the peg that I'm fishing might be unlikely. It's probably going to be more as the light levels fall into this evening. But we have had that little small mirror, so that's a good start. Literally all I'm doing today is the same old, only today I am using a fluorocarbon, crimped bit of fluorocarbon anti-tangle sleeve, swivel hook, and a little wafter, a little dumbbell wafter, and that's literally, oh, that's literally the rig. I've got similar rigs on the two rods, one with a pink dumbbell wafter, one with a yellow. The pink one was the one that done the run. Yellow is usually the one that gets me a bite here, so we'll see what happens. Well, I've just done that right hand rod again at a drop back, and I just wasn't happy with it. Dropping it with a boat, I didn't get a really great drop, so I've actually cast it back into place, because a couple of weeks ago on a solid bag, that's the exact spot I got that run on, and I got a deeper spot this time. There is like a little feeding gully there that is slightly deeper in water, and you just know when you crack down on it, it's slightly harder and firmer, where you're not getting, because it's not that deep water, the drop on the boat, you're not really getting as much of an indication. So that's really it done again, and as I say, I'll do them about 5-6 o'clock as the light levels start to drop. It has started to get a bit brighter, so it is getting darker later, so I can afford to put the rods out that slight bit later. Hopefully they're put out because something has actually lifted a rig, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm happy with both the drops on the cast and the other one on the boat with the two rods that are out at the minute, so more than happy with that. So what am I doing in terms of the baiting approach? Well, I am using 12mm, the Formula Plum. It's a shelf life from RG Baits, but saying that, it's a shelf life, it's a very, very soft boilie. I have been putting that in the crusher and crumbing a lot of boilie and putting a few whole boilie over the top. As it's now into March, I really feel that they could be doing with a bit of a feed, so I have been putting a bit extra bait out compared to what I have been before. I am fishing a spot that the fish regularly visit, though I have heard on good authority that there has been a lot of fish coming out up the other end of the lake, but this peg always is nice for a bit of filming, and it also really lends itself to, you have a good bit of water to go at as well, and you're not really bothering other people when you're talking with the camera, so it's just more a bit of angling etiquette is one of the reasons that I do like this peg compared to some of the others on the lake. Well, that's the rods back out onto the spots for this evening. A couple of other anglers on the lake, so that'll keep the fish moving around, hopefully. Nothing since I spoke to you earlier. I've seen a fish crash over my left hand rod, so that's a good positive sign. Rods have only been back out about 20 minutes, had a bite to eat, and literally I'm just going to sit and watch to see if I can see anything as darkness comes upon us. It has been a very high pressure today. The downside has been temperatures were quite good during the day and fairly shelving off at night. And I know it sounds like I'm just making excuses, but I'm just giving you sort of a scenario of what we're up against here. But again, it could all kick off, you know, as the fish wake up. There's plenty of signs that spring has sprung, the daffodils are out, flowers are starting to bloom. Hopefully the fish follow suit and they're also waking up as well, so plenty to be hopeful for, and maybe we'll get something during the night. If not, at least I've spent the night on the bank, so I can't complain about that. There's lots that haven't been able to do so, so I'll keep you posted of anything else that is happening, and I'm sure we'll speak at some point later on in the video. I'm just sending the boat out here very stealthily, very slow for the last sort of hour or two of fishing. I like to send the boat out with the handset in my left hand and keeping on a tight line on my right. Just it means that when I drop the rig, especially when snag fishing, there is very little bow in the line for that fish to do itself in the snag, and it's the way I've always done it. Now this boat has the full autopilot and all that sort of stuff, but to set it up with a tablet and stuff at this time in the morning, just sometimes it's more hassle than it's worth. It's easier just to actually drive the boat out to the spot and drop the rig. And that being said, the last couple of times here I have been casting, it's just this tree line is so snaggy. Sometimes you can just be far more accurate with the boat, and I have it, so I may as well this morning use it. It's a lovely drop on that as well. That's the other thing, if you're keeping it on a tight line and you are driving the boat to the spot, and if it's deep enough, you're feeling a good drop, just as you would feathering down a cast. So in actual fact, that felt lovely. It is all silk here, but it felt, you know, slightly firmer, and in those deeper spots where the fish have been feeding, the silk is slightly firmer. Sometimes half a night in the wrong place, not a run, 5 minutes in the right place. You know, literally sometimes you need to be enticing those fish right in front of their faces to come out from those snags for a feed. If you're 2 or 3 feet off them, you know, you may as well go home. Whereas in this case, I've put them in a place that I know it's comfortable, that I can be on the rods. I've said before, I back them off at night because I'm accounting for the time that I'm getting out of the bivvy. The door is always open and I'm ready to go, and the crash tips and the sleeping bag are ready to be thrown over, but just you can't be too careful, because the stretch in the mono, like I've said before, is enough for that fish to sometimes bury itself in the snag. It's a strange old morning, because obviously I arrived here yesterday, similar sort of time, rods out onto the spots, and had that first fish within 5-10 minutes, and that sort of set me up for thinking that it was going to be a good day. But sometimes it just goes like that, where the opportunity, you grab it at the very start, and that's you. But who can complain? You know, it's nice to actually get amongst the fish. So even if I do go home and there's nothing else, I have been happy. I like having those little light bobbins, because it means I can sink the line pretty well and tighten up with the lightness in the bobbin enough that I can keep a bit of slack in the line, but have it tight enough that the fish doesn't have much rope to hang itself with. So yeah, the important thing is obviously that those clutches are beyond tight, because sometimes you think you've locked up and you haven't put enough tension in that clutch, and the fish is still taking line. So lock them up and be on your rods in seconds really is the course of action. But obviously, because today I'm messing about within the swim doing bits and pieces, I'm only ever going to be sort of 1-2 foot away from the rods, so it means I can be on them. Literally, if I get a single beep and I see that bobbin lifting, I'm ready for action, shall they say. Well, we're coming to the end of this session. Those rods were put back out about 6:45, and I've had a couple of touches on the left hand rod, but it hasn't materialised into anything, and I've sort of left it as long as it possibly... Oh! Missed it. As I say, that's one way to bring the rod in for the end of the session. As I got over there, the bobbin had hit the rod blank, and that was it. It had to be brought in, but it could have been a savage liner, or it also could have been just something has shifted the lead. And to be honest, snag fishing, you have to be so careful. You know, the slightest lift and you need to be on those rods. So there's no point me putting this back out. I've most things packed down other than carp care and stuff for landing the fish and the rods. Obviously I've still a rod out there. I'll give it another sort of 10 or 15 minutes and then I'll go. But happy days. It's been a good day out. Again, if you've enjoyed this video, do like the video, subscribe to the channel. There's still plenty to come over the next coming weeks and months, other venues as well. So thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.